Hi everyone, we are from Tutorial 1 Group 10 and we'll be presenting on Tutorial 10 Pure Monopoly. These are our group member Yankee, Ada AMEERUL, Yishun, JESS, HENG, BENEDICT, LEYAO, and MARVESHA. Question mark. Some economists argue that pure monopolies will purposely avoid the price output combination that will maximize their profit. Explain with example how this less than maximum profit behavior could be rational. First, monopolies may fear of government regulation. For example, Microsoft in the early 2000s had monopoly power with Windows. Instead of maximizing profit with higher prices, it chose to avoid additional legal trouble by pricing more conservatively. This helped reduce the risk of stricter regulation. Second, discouraging entry of potential competitors. High profit can attract competitors, especially in markets with low entry barriers. To avoid this, monopolies often use limit pricing. A good example is AirAsia, which keep prices extremely low to discourage competitors like Malindo and Firefly from entering key domestic routes. Next, fear of building long-term loyalty or market share and government regulation. Some monopolies look at the bigger picture. Instead of chasing short-term profit, they aim to grow their customer base. Take Netflix for instance, when it was dominating streaming, it could have raised price, but instead chose to grow its long-term subscriber loyalty first. Finally, social or ethical responsibility can influence pricing. TNB, Malaysia's sole electricity provider, avoid charging excessively despite having monopoly power. That's because they have a duty to ensure affordable access for all, and they are also subject to government regulation.
Good day everyone, my name is HENG. I will now discussing about question 2. Draw a graph that illustrates X inefficiency. Explain the concept of X efficiency using a graph. Why is it likely to occur in a monopoly? Let's now discuss why X inefficiency is so common in a monopoly. X inefficiency occurs when a firm's actual costs are higher than the minimum possible cost, not because of external factors, but due to internal inefficiency. This is especially likely to happen in a monopoly due to the main reasons. So, firstly, the first factor is organization slack. In a monopoly, the absence of presence to compete often leads to a relaxed internal environment. So, over the time, that creates layers of inefficiency, such as unnecessary procedures, excessive staffing, or poor communication between departments. So in competitive firms, inefficiency are quickly identified and corrected because staying lean is essential for survival. This results in the higher production cost than necessary, which is the essence of X efficiency. So secondly is price cushion. So monopolies have the powers to set prices above the marginal cost, meaning that they can change more than what the cost per deal to be good. So even in internal costs got due to like waste or poor management, the poor monopoly can maintain its profit by simply increasing the price. So after all, why bother improving efficiency if the firm can pass on the burden to the consumers? So the third one is no threat of entry. So monopolies often exist in industry with high barriers to entry, whether like legal, technology, or financial. So new firms simply can't enter the market easily, which means that the monopoly faces no risk of being challenged. So the kind of security beats complacency. The monopoly don't need to worry about being replaced by a more efficient firm. So in a competitive market, fear of new entrants forces companies to innovate, stay efficient, and deliver better products. But for monopolies, the pressure just isn't there. So the last one is lack of competition. So competition is the main drive of efficiency. When firms are forced to fight for customers, they constantly improve. Their lower prices, cut unnecessary costs, and look for new ways to produce better goods. So the result, a firm that operates below its potential uses more resources than needed and delivers less value to society. So in conclusion, inefficiency in a monopoly is driven by four main causes, which is organization slack, price cushion, no trick of entry, and lack of competition. So this is what I want to share with you. Thank you.
Hello, doctor and friends. My name is Ku Yushen, and right now we will be moving on to question number 3. Consider the following situation and determine whether they exhibit simultaneous consumption, network effects, X inefficiency, or rent-seeking behavior. Assume that the business reference functions as monopolies. So the first question given is a government-owned utility company, being the sole provider of electricity in a region, has outdated equipment and a bloat workforce, leading to higher operating costs than necessary. This is a X inefficiency because X inefficiency occurs when a firm does not operate at a minimum cost, often due to lack of competitive pressure. In this case, we can see government as a monopoly. The utility company has a little incentive to control their costs or improve their efficiency, which lead to their waste and also inefficiency. While the second question is a popular video game is released that can be played online with others owners of the game. As more people buy and also play the game online, the experience becomes more engaging and valuable for each player. This is a network effect because network effects occurs when the value of a product or service increase as more people using it. At here, we can see the enjoyment of the game grows as more players playing it and making it more attractive for other players to purchase and play.
Hello, Doctor and friends. I'm Jess on JC, and now I will be continue with part C of question 3. This is an example of rent-seeking behavior. In this case, a company holds exclusive rights to a newly discovered mineral deposit granted by the government. Instead of using resources to improve efficiency or innovate, the company spends heavily on lobbying officials to maintain its exclusive control and block potential competitors. This is a classic example of rent seeking. Where no new value is created, the firm is simply trying to protect its monopoly privilege rather than contribute to economic productivity. A real-world example would be Malaysia's rare earth industry, where companies like Lynas Corporations have faced ongoing regulatory challenges and invested significant effort to retain their operating license, which effectively protect them from new entrants. Now I will continue with part D. This is an example of simultaneous consumption. In this case, a single broadcasting company owns a radio station that can be listened to by an unlimited number of people at the same time. This is a classic example of a non-rivalrous good, meaning that one person's listening does not reduce the enjoyment or quality for others. Radio broadcasting also reflects characteristic of a natural monopoly. It requires high fixed costs such as broadcast tower and equipment, but once it's set up, the cost of serving additional listeners is nearly zero. A real-world example would be RTM Radio, which reach over 5 million listeners daily across Malaysia. Another example is Astro Satellite Radio Service, which also allow mass access without diminishing quality.
Hello everyone, my name is Benedict, and now I'm going to present about question 4, which states that are the pricing schemes below examples of price discrimination? Before we look at the questions, let us first define what is price discrimination. Price discrimination happens when a seller charges different prices to different consumers. This will include first, second, and third degree price discrimination. So what are the requirements? First, the firm must have control over pricing. Next, there is no resale between consumers, and it must be in the category of elasticities of demand. So, the first question is offering happy hour discounts on drinks at a bar in Kuala Lumpur. So, to answer this question, the answer would be yes. This is price discrimination. This type of price discrimination would be third degree price discrimination. But what is third degree price discrimination? Third degree price discrimination occurs when a company charges a different price to different groups of consumers. So as you can see in the question, the bars charges different prices at different times of the day for the same drinks, especially during the happy hour compared to normal hour times. Customers also who come during happy hour pay less than those who come at peak times or at normal business hours. Moving on, let's move on to a real world example accompanied with some data. So as you can see here, this is a comparison of a local bar in Kuala Lumpur. So as we can see here, as they sell draught beers during the happy hour, one glass of Tiger can cost you 14 ringgit. However, for the normal hour, it will cost you 7 ringgit. This is 3 ringgit far more expensive than the happy hour. And the same thing applies to other drinks as well. It is far more expensive compared to happy hour for the normal hour. This shows the heavy effect of price discrimination towards consumers. It can drastically reduce the power to purchase of many consumers for many other goods and services. Let's look at the next question, which states charging a flat entrance fee for a museum regardless of how long a visitor stays or how many exhibits they view. So to answer this question, it is not a price discrimination. Why? Because everyone pays the same price regardless of the usage. There is also no variation in pricing for the customers in the museum in terms of characteristics, timing, or willingness to pay. So what is this actually? This is a uniform pricing strategy. But what is a uniform pricing strategy? It is a pricing strategy where all products of an ideal product are the same across all stores, although the prices of different products may vary.
Let's take a look at a common example of price discrimination, providing senior citizen discount at cinemas in Malaysia. Yes, this is a form of price discrimination, specifically third-degree price discrimination. Here's how it works. The cinema charges different prices to different demographic groups. Seniors who are usually more price sensitive due to limited income or fixed pensions are offered lower ticket prices. The businesses does this because it knows that seniors have a higher price elasticity of demand, meaning they are more likely to respond to price changes. By lowering the price for them, the cinema can attract more customers from that group without lowering prices for others, like working adults who are willing to pay more. This strategy helps the cinema maximize revenue by targeting each group based on their willingness to pay. Now let's move on to another example, selling different versions of the same software at different price points. Yes, this is also price discrimination, and it falls under second-degree price discrimination, also known as versioning. In this case, the seller creates multiple versions of the software, like a basic, premium, and enterprise edition, each offering different levels of functionality. Customers then self-select into the version that best fits their needs and budget. Someone who needs only core features might go for the cheaper option, while a business needing advanced tools will pay more for the premium version. This method allows the company to capture more consumer surplus by tailoring the product and price to different segments based on their willingness to pay, without explicitly identifying the customer's demographic.
Today, I will briefly analyze a common pricing phenomenon in the airline industry, why tickets booked in advance are significantly cheaper than those bought close to the departure date. This practice illustrates a textbook case of third-degree price discrimination, where firms segment consumers based on differing price elasticities. First, let's consider the foundation. Airlines operate in markets with considerable pricing power, allowing them to implement price discrimination to maximize revenue. By identifying distinct consumer groups, such as leisure versus business travelers, they can charge different prices based on sensitivities to cost. A behavior will align with monopoly pricing theory. Second strategy is deeply rooted in economic rationale. Seats on flight are perishable goods. Once a plane departs, unsold seats lose all value. To minimize revenue loss, airlines adopt dynamic pricing, offering early bird discounts to price-sensitive travelers while imposing last-minute premiums on those with urgent or inflexible traveler needs. Fourth, impartial studies support this segmentation. Data shows that long-run price elasticity for air travel can range from -1 to -1.6, but near departure this drops to around -0.5, showing reduced responsiveness to price. Meanwhile, early booking reflect elasticities below -2.0, confirming that advanced buyers are highly sensitive to fare changes. To conclude, airlines use international price discrimination as a form of yield management, align price with consumers' urgency, flexibility, and substitution possibilities. This strategy demonstrates how market segmentation and elasticity-based pricing can help monopolistic or oligopolistic firms extract maximum revenue from different customer groups.
Hello everyone, my name is AMEERUL, and today I'll be presenting how ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, utilized user data to reinforce its monopoly power and maximize its profit in the short-term video market. As many of us know, TikTok is renowned for its highly personalized For You page. This customization is not random. It is the result of an extensive data collection. Every video that we watch, every account that we follow, every like and share contributes to a detailed behavioral profile. This allows TikTok to not only retain user attention, but also attract advertisers that are willing to pay a premium for targeted exposures. Now, let's study how TikTok is able to stay on the top. ByteDance's profitability is deeply tied to monopoly-like status in the industry. Two economic concepts explain how it maintains the dominance: economies of scale and network effects. Due to its massive global user base, TikTok enjoys significant economies of scale. The cost of delivering content and advertisement decreases as the number of users increase, thereby reducing the average cost per user. And at the same time, the platform benefits from strong network effects, which means the more users it gains, the more valuable the platform becomes. This user growth cycle makes it increasingly difficult for new competitors to enter the market, hence the barriers to entry. Now, I'm going to talk how ByteDance profit with their collection of user data. TikTok capitalized on its data not only for user engagement, but also for revenue optimization. Although the app is free to use, it applies the economic principle of price discrimination, not on users but on advertisers. Different advertisers are charged different rate based on how valuable the targeted audience is, determined by user data, hence the personalized ads. And in terms of profit maximization, TikTok follows the MR equals to MC principles. Because the marginal cost of showing a video or ad is nearly zero, thanks to their automation and algorithmic infrastructure, the additional revenue from each user interaction significantly boosts their overall profits. Moving on, I'm going to talk about how this strategy helped them to get more revenue. Further strengthening TikTok's profitability is the concept of simultaneous consumption. Unlike physical goods, digital content can be distributed to millions instantly without any additional production costs. This scalability dramatically widens their profit margins by a lot. And additionally, the positive feedback loop created by TikTok's network effects enhances the platform's value. Like, for example, more users lead to more data, which leads to better content recommendation, which then will attract more creators and advertisers. And I think TikTok has also extended its monetization strategy through e-commerce. By leveraging user data, TikTok suggests specific products that align with user interests. As we may have experienced in our everyday life, TikToks always recommend that one thing that we always need in our life. And as a result, we end up buying that. ByteDance then earns commission from purchases and generate further ad revenue from this. To conclude my thought, I think that TikTok's ability to collect and analyze user data not only drives engagement, but also it underpins its advertising strategy, cost efficiency, and market dominance. Through advanced algorithm, Low marginal costs and a growing e-commerce presence, ByteDance effectively used its monopoly power to sustain its expansive profitability. That's all from me. Thank you.